Hello everyone and welcome, it's Shanna. Now today I'm working with the large die of the month, and this is a birdhouse die with 2 cardinals and some greenery, and I thought we could have some fun playing with this today. And so I'm just going to open it up. This is the first time I've assembled it, and I will make a lot of mistakes while I'm assembling it, but we'll come up with a card in the end, and I kind of get a little bit carried away. So you can see the diagrams on the back of it that show you how to assemble it, and that's really handy to have. And I'm just going to pull all of the elements out. Now, the bag is actually stuck to the tape that's holding the dies on, so I'm going to struggle with it, getting it out a little bit. And I'm trying to get that tape off of there so I can pull it out, but we're just going to get all of these dies, and I am going to show you some paper that I picked up at Michael's today because I wanted that navy blue color for this birdhouse. I also picked up a pink set, and then I got some clear vellum as well. And I'm going to use this blue pad here and pull some navy blue out and use it for my birdhouse color. So we'll just get it opened up and pull out that darkest blue that's in there. And then we'll get to working on our card. There we go. So I'm going to use that blue, and that's going to be the color of my birdhouse. And so I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine. I'm just going to bring in the Scout, and I'm going to pick up this largest die that is on there and see if, which is the snow on the roof of the die. It's pretty wide, and see if it will work on my Scout, and if I can just use it for all the die cutting pieces. So I'm just moving everything aside and making room for it. And then I've got the plates, and I'm going to lay this on there, and I see that it just is a smidge too big for that. So I cut that piece out on my larger one, and then everything else I cut out on my Scout. Now I've got things laid like the branch in the snow, the birdhouse, the birds, and then the floral elements, and I've got them all laid there together. Now, I did die cut all of that out on camera, and it was just too long. It just was too much, and I didn't think you need to watch me die cut all that out. So I just cut all that footage away, and I have sped up the assembly of this because it's still incredibly long, even with the die cutting out. And so I've just sped it up, and I should have put the blue piece that goes on this down before I put that white roof down. And I actually did not get the white snow-covered roof laid down very evenly. And so I'm going to go ahead and glue that piece in there. And I'll run into trouble with that black piece that I've got there, and then the trim piece that are on there. I kind of run into trouble with those, and I glue it down, and I kind of go with it, but then I go ahead and later pull it completely off and redo it just to make it look right. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down on there and put that shadow piece, the underlayer, in there, and then I'll put the trim piece on it. And I couldn't line it up just because I don't know why. So I took a black marker and just colored the edge of it black so that it wouldn't show. But ultimately I didn't like that, and I will cut it away. I'll take the blue house off of the roof, and I will redo it. But it's down the road when I do that. I actually completely assemble this birdhouse, and then I decide that I'm going to do it correctly, and so I pull everything apart and I redo it. And I was able to pull them apart and put them back together and not have to die cut out more pieces. Now here I'm just putting the stem, the perch that the bird would sit on, and then it has a little dot that you put on the end of it. And now this is the string in which the birdhouse would be hanging from the branch. And I took my glue eraser and just tried to clean it up. My fingers were so covered with glue, I just made a royal mess out of this, and ultimately I will put a whole nother white panel on this just to cover up the glue that and the mess that I make as I go on. So this was kind of a calamity of errors, this assembly was. And this is where I'm bringing in another blue piece, because I had die cut this sliver out in black, and I decided I wanted it to be blue and not black. So I'm going to lay it over the top of the black and get it laid down on there. So I fooled with this birdhouse a lot. Now I'm going to start assembling my cardinals, and there are two of them. One of them is facing one way and the other is facing the other way. There's one that's kind of a little bit more stout, and it has the little bitty legs, and then the other one that's a little bit taller has the longer legs. And I originally die cut out the heads of the bird in that Tuscan color there, because I was thinking it was the beak. And then once I realized that it's not the beak, because the beak is so loud, or so large, if it had been those pieces, they'd been way too large. And so then I realized that I had some of the white pieces that I die cut out was actually the beak of the birds. So I'm just getting the tail feathers laid down on this one, and then I'll put the wings on the face and the wings on them as well. And I just die cut it out in black. And I think I even put the plume or the head feathers of the cardinals on incorrectly as well. I put them on the front of it, and I actually should have put it on the back of it. And I'll fix that later too. So that was just another one of the mistakes I made when I was assembling these. And I thought I'd just leave it in and just be completely transparent with you. The first time assembling, sometimes you don't get it exactly right. And I always say I should probably assemble one before I actually turn on the camera and do it. But that's not how I operate. I just like to turn on the camera and just go after it. And that's what I did. So I just colored up the cheeks of the cardinals. I assume that's what they're called, but there's a little circular etched spot on each of their faces that you can put that little kind of cheeky position there. And this one has two sets of wings and the tail feathers, where the other one just has one because it's kind of facing in a different direction. This one kind of looks like it's about to take flight. Now that's where I thought the beaks were those pieces, but I realized very quickly that they weren't, and that they were the head pieces. But I had already cut them out in red because it was actually on the wings die. They were all together. And so I'm kind of eyeballing this, trying to figure out how they go. And this is when I lay them on top. And I just kept thinking it looked weird. And so eventually I pull them off and I put them behind there. Maybe it was okay, but I just kept thinking it looked weird. I couldn't put my finger on what was wrong with these cardinals. So I'm coloring up these little white pieces that are their beaks. And I'm just using, I don't know, a gold alcohol marker that I had, and I'm laying the beaks down on there. I think they look cute, even though I feel like their heads look a little weird. So now I'm just taking my pine cones and I'm pulling out all the little itty bitty bits out of there, and I'm going to get them ready for layering up. And I also bring in my ground espresso ink because I want to darken the base of them. I die cut them all out of the same colored cardstock, and I thought it'd be nice to darken them up. But I'm doing the same thing with the tree limb, and just darkening up so you can see some of the dimension. And I'm kind of adding like a shaded side to that, and cleaning up my desk. I haven't had a lot of time to craft because we started VBS, Vacation Bible School, on Sunday evening, and we had it again on Monday evening. And so I made this, I had Monday off, I didn't have the boys, and I made this early Monday afternoon, and then had to go to VBS, and so I'm getting the voiceover done after VBS. So I'm going to be busy every night this week, and so I'm trying to get some content made just when I get a minute, so that I can load it up to my channel. So my goal is to get the voiceover done on this and get this loaded up, and then we'll have Tuesday's video. But I'm going to be hard-pressed to get them all done this week, just because I can't really do a lot when I have the boys with me. Now here's where I've decided I'm going to rip this thing apart and I'm going to put it back together correctly. And I've got my Cricut blade there, and I just used it to help me pull it apart. And and this is off camera because I really thought I was going to cut all this part out. And I probably should have, just for the essence of time, and told you, but I pulled that thing completely apart, and I put another white topper on it, put it back together. I reused the string to hang it. I'm kind of playing with the snow on my branch to see how I'd like for it to set, and I'm just going to mess around with that. And I'm working with my little bow there a little bit. And then I'm just going to grab, I realize this is too big. I need a 5x7 card base. So I'm going to just take my Cricut trimmer there, and I'll cut it at 10, and then I'll turn it and cut it at 7, and then we'll score it at 5, and we'll create a 5x7 card base. So I'm just going to bring in my score buddy, and it's not really quite big enough, but I can get almost to the edge on that 5 inches there and just use it and score it over. And then I've decided I'm going to use another piece of that paper that I bought at Michael's, a lighter version, and lay it down on my card base. And I've decided I'm going to bring in one of my embossing folders. I grabbed that crisscross motif embossing folder because I think it almost looks like snowflakes to me. So I'm going to take it over to my die cutting machine and get it embossed, and then we'll lay it down on our card base. I've decided I need to trim it up a little bit, so I brought in my Spellbinders guillotine cutter there and trimmed it up, and I'll just get it laid down on the card base, and we'll try to get it evened up on there and pressed down and everything. And now I'm going to start laying the elements down on my card. So I've got my branch there, and I've decided that I have this acetate that has snowflakes on it that I got from my friend Daria. She had sent me it when she sent me the suede papers. And I thought it'd be fun to use that acetate with the snow on there, since our birdhouse is snowy and we have snow that we're going to add to it. And I thought it'd be fun to use the acetate with the snowflakes. Now here I'm going to use some of my distress oxides. Because I had glue on there and it looked messy, I felt like if I distressed it, maybe it would look better. But then I did not like it, so that's when I decided to die cut out another white piece and lay it right on top of there. And so I'm going to tear off my hanger and just lay a clean white piece on top there. So now I have 3 layers of roofing on this. And since I did that, then I'm going to have to die cut out another black trim piece and actually lay it down on top of this. And I'll have to put the hanger back on the roof as well. Now, because I did this, it's not quite the right size, and so I'm going to get it laid down on there, and I'll just trim off the excess that hangs on there, and we'll just make it look right. So you can see I had a multitude of errors with this, but I figured out how to make it work. And so there I've got it all trimmed up, and I'm going to bring my hanger in and get it glued back down on the top of my roof. And I'm actually going to fix the bow. When I first laid it down, I kind of laid the ribbons on there crooked. So I pulled them off and I fixed them, and we've got that all together, and I'm cleaning off some glue. Now I'm going to work with that acetate, and what I'm going to do is build my card on top of this acetate, and then I'll adhere it to my card base. So I'm going to take the branch and just kind of angle it, and I've decided I'm going to actually hang my birdhouse on that and just run the branch right through my hanger there. And I flipped it over and put some of my glue runner on there, and I'm using it so that I don't make a gluey mess on this acetate. I'm just using the glue tape runner, and I'm putting my snow on there, and then I'm just going to start building my floral elements. And I lay all this down there upside down. I just run some glue runner on there, and then started putting my pieces in there, and I thought it worked out just fine doing it upside down. And I am watching a couple of live videos while I'm assembling this. I watched Danny have her first live on her channel, and then after her I switched over to Not Afraid of Color and watch T work on her channel. So that might be one of the reasons why I made some errors on here, because I was kind of preoccupied with watching a couple of lives as well. So anyway, I'm going to put this one bird on the perch, and I'll put the other bird on the roof. I thought that would be fun. So I'm going to get him laid down on there and get him positioned. And I thought the one with the long legs would look good standing on the perch. And there are two circles for the hole of the birdhouse. One of them you lay down and it has an etched line on there, and then you can lay the other one along that line and you'll kind of have some dimension on there. Now I'm going to use a bunch more of these florals. I've just got to get them positioned how I want them. And I'm just kind of layering them there in my hand to see how I might want them. And I'm going to lay some glue and just try to assemble them like that before I lay them down. And then I'll tuck them in around my birdhouse. And I really got carried away with this. I'm looking at it now and I don't think it looks too bad. But then I decided to add a whole bunch of snow elements to the roof of the house, and I think I got a little carried away. So I'm going to add some more floral elements. We've got some greenery and our pine cones, and I'm going to get them all stuck together, and we'll just tuck them in underneath our birdhouse. And we're really filling up that panel. And so I'm going to add some glue, or some, glue runner, wherever my, birdhouse is and my flowers, so that it doesn't show on my acetate. And I'm just looking this over thinking that I'm not completely happy with it. So I use my Jolly Roll pen to put a little highlight on my birds, and I'm tucking and gluing my pieces down as needed. And I'm just looking at some of the other elements I have, considering what I might use. And then after I went off camera, I added a whole bunch of pieces of snow all over that to make it look like the snow was mounded. And I had an extra poinsettia land, and I laid that down on there. And this finishes up my card. I think I got carried away on this one. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.